Alabama wins 27-6 in a game where they dominated because the Cincinnati offense just couldn't do anything. Desmond Ridder was really bad. I was looking at the comments. Someone said this is the worst playoff game I've seen, but we've had 3 good playoff games in 15 tries. We had one that was like, what was it, 38-0? We had that Alabama-Washington game. We had one that was like 63-20. But there's been a lot of bad playoff games. And people want to expand? I don't get it. This is why I don't get it. I got my TV 22:40 till Michigan kicks off. We'll go a little bit longer than that because I want to break down this game just a little bit. Not a whole heck of a lot to break down, to be honest. And then you all have a safe New Year's Eve. But let's get into it. Brian Robinson Jr. Made himself a whole heck of a lot of money tonight. We talked about Wednesday. He struggled a lot of the season. He hasn't been Najee. He wasn't, he hasn't been one of those dominant Alabama running backs. And then he came in the night, 26 carries, 204 yards, averaged 7.8 yards per carry, and really set the tone on that first drive. Run 6, run 3, run 5, run 7. Then Bryce Young run for 1. Jamison run for 8, and then Brian Robinson run for 9. Brian Robinson run for 7. Trey Sanders run for 4. Trey Sanders run for 2. Bryce Young and Slade Bolden really came up and set the tone right away for how this game was going to go. Now, credit to the Cincinnati defense, especially their corners. They did a really good job, and you could tell that not that Bryce Young played bad because he had 3 touchdowns. He did throw the 1 pick. He was pretty good. But you could tell that the corners for Cincy were giving Alabama some issues. They only had the 1 big play, the touchdown to Ja'Cory Brooks. Jameson Williams had 7 catches. Usually when Jameson Williams has 7 catches, that means like he got 170 yards. He only had 62 yards, long of 20. He wasn't able to get open downfield. So credit the Cincinnati defense. They played really well, especially when it got down to the red zone. They played their tails off. That defense did. Sauce Gardner, Kobe Bryant, they played really, really hard. So credit to them. But their offense just couldn't do anything. Desmond Ridder, it was weird to me because Desmond Ridder is a good college quarterback. He's not going to be an NFL guy. He's a good college quarterback. And it surprised me how – and they couldn't block Alabama, which isn't surprising. Like, we all thought that might happen. But it was – oh, that's highlights coming from my computer because I have a box score. It surprised me how conservative, I guess, the Cincinnati offense was. And part of the problem was early in the game, Cincinnati had chances. The first drive, they had a chance for a touchdown. They had some other open guys on third down, but Ridder, credit to the Alabama defense, batting passes down. Those slants were just not available, and they never really were able to adjust. So, Will Anderson, those guys, Mathis, they could just tee off on Ridder and Jerome Ford. There wasn't a whole lot of creativity because they couldn't get simple plays down. They couldn't get a slant because someone would stick their big paw up and knock it down. But you have to, and, part of that is how good the Alabama defense is, their rush defense. I know Jerome Ford finished with over 5 yards of carry. That didn't come until the end of the game. He was shut down. Ridder was shut down. And the only group of 5 teams still, I think, that could compete with an Alabama or is those Boise State teams with Kellen Moore. Because they had 2 guys on the outside that could get separation. They had a good running back in Doug Martin. Kellen Moore was obviously a really good college quarterback. They had some guys on defense, and they had Chris Peterson. And that's not a shot at Luke Fickell. I think Luke Fickell has a heck of a career ahead of him. But I still think the only group of 5 team that could even come close to competing with like an Alabama or a Georgia would be that those Boise State teams.